December the 1st. So we are here at the Insight Alliance to talk to you on our 30 Days of Giving. So this is a campaign we're doing for 30 days to support the work that we do here at the Insight Alliance. And specifically today, we wanted to elaborate a little bit more on the research project that we did, because I know that the Insight to Wellbeing team last week touched on it, and we want to dive in a little bit deeper. So I'm Anna, and I'm here with Mason, one of our amazing teachers. And so our research project, we started 4 or 5 years ago in partnership with Pacific University, the psychology department, and the Department of Corrections. And we studied our curriculum, our program, Insight to Wellbeing, and it's finally been published. So we're really excited about that. So Mason, I'm going to ask you a question. How has this research helped us and our work, and why are you excited about it?
I mean, I'm excited about it because now we're like verifiable. We're like bringing something that's backed by a huge, like a third party, right? Something that's a long study that was incredibly impactful and showed so much results, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And so, you have that check mark. We saw like we see the impact in class. We see the impact when we go and we change the whole culture even of a prison. And people just see so many more possibilities and options. But now we actually have the research to say, look, we are evidence-based. And it's really strong evidence. And there's some places that are like, no, you can't come here until you get evidence-based. And so it's really opening those doors, instead of just getting in there from people saying, hey, we see the impact, we want you in here. Now we can say, okay, we see the impact and we have proof they have impact. So super exciting.
That's great. I love it.
So I guess my turn to ask you a question. How, I guess, share a little bit about the history of this project and how it came about.
Okay, so it was actually probably in 2018, and it was before the Insight Alliance was, well, before the Insight Alliance actually was a thing, and I was being fiscally sponsored by the YWCA, and I went into Coffee Creek on a meeting with Susan Stoltenberg, who was the amazing executive director there at the time of YWCA, and we had a meeting with the psychology, the kind of counseling team at Coffee Creek, and they loved the idea of what we're doing. And the head of the program said, if you really want this to be more than a volunteer program, it needs to be researched. And I didn't really have any real idea. I mean, I'd been part of a research project doing this in a prison in England, but I didn't know really what was entailed. And I was like, that sounds great, let's do it. And Susan had knew of Dr. Sarah Bowen at Pacific University, and we had a conversation with her. And she was really interested in this program. She was really interested in the results that we were sort of seeing initially anyway. And so they took it on. So we then had to kind of talk to the research department in prison, the Department of Corrections. And they were excited about it too. They initially said that it was going to take sort of 6 months to get it off the ground, but actually it happened sooner than that. And then we got started. We first got started in the men's prison. So we did the pilot phase at Columbia River Correctional Institution, where we run programs. And then the main part of the research was at the Coffee Creek Women's Prison. And, we thought it'd probably take about 3 years, but we had COVID in the middle of everything. So everything kind of grinded to a halt. And then it took time to do all the things, and we needed to get a decent amount of people in the study, which we have done over the 5 years, and then like you said, it became picked up by the Journal of Offender Rehabilitation, and we're now evidence-based. So it was worth it, even though it was really, really hard work. It was absolutely worth the effort, and we're really, really excited about it. So you'd mentioned the key findings, like you were saying that now we're seeing the impact. Like what are some of the key findings of the research paper?
Yeah. Okay. So they looked at like three different major factors like psychological flexibility, trauma symptoms and the impact on the individual, and emotional regulation. And emotional regulation being like how can we respond to life? How do we navigate our feelings and handle situations? And they compare them to some, you know, DSM-5, like big stuff, like the you know, before and after. We had a control group and they compared them, like did all the research findings and everything. And I mean, looking at the numbers, I mean, you have the conclusion of the findings, but looking at the numbers, and there is dramatic difference. Like it is, even to the point, like they do a confidence interval saying that like this is a chance that it could be happening chance, but there, that is such, it's so such a strong study in regards to numbers because there was such a dramatic impact, and they measured these impacts 6 months after even the class took place.
8 months with
8 months. Oh, 8 months. Okay. So like, yeah, it was, these are long impacts. Like these are impacting people for extended periods of time. And as we know, it's impacting people for life. Like we just see it, you know, and people are doing incredible 5 years later. But yeah, now the research really shows people are not, you know, because we know people in prison just from research, they have a higher rates of mental health difficulties. Just just that's been shown, you know, and to have such a dramatic impact on that with our program is really exciting and really cool how much this research paper showed that.
Yeah, I think something that I was really pleasantly surprised about, and you don't really know because you're, you know, like you're measuring, you know, I know there was a massive reduction in violence and reduction in anger, depression, but there was a huge reduction in trauma. And that was a piece that, you know, you just don't know when you're going into this, like what are the measures that are going to show like really kind of, you know, amazing. And that was something that was, you know, that we've heard, like we've heard from the men, we've heard from the women, but to really see that in numbers, I felt like it was really, you know, it was beautiful and really amazing testimony to when people understand themselves and understand how thought is creating experience moment to moment and understanding memories and understanding, you know, that their past in a sort of a different way in relation to our mind. It changes things, and it had a beautiful, amazing impact. So I love that. I just love all the different implications of what we've done.
Yeah. I mean, it's so cool because this is like a springboard, you know, it's like we knew their impact, but now we know. Now we really know, at least on paper. And this is like a springboard into so many possibilities and to be taken truly. I mean, we're already taken seriously because everyone, wardens and people running the individual prisons are like, wow, this is incredible. And the counselors were seeing impact. But now it's like a springboard into so much possibility, even just opening up other doors. So I'm really excited to see where this leads us.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Cool. And they're just, you know, the process of getting published was such a it took time, you know. It definitely was interesting, and the different, you know, putting out this paper to different journals, but I love the fact that it was picked up by the Journal for Offender Rehabilitation, because it's really looking at how to end recidivism. How do we, you know, really kind of create lasting change in individuals that then takes them out of that loop of reoffending, or out of the loop of you know, thought systems that we can get stuck in, that we don't think we can get out of. And even like last night we were at dinner, and one of our donors was asking, you know, like, totally lost my train of thought. I was like, what was he asking? Can you just remind me what I was just talking about? This is for
going out to dinner.
the actual question.
Recidivism.
Oh yes, sorry. It's why is it important then, if like, because some people, it sounds like you're working with lifers, you're working with people that have been there, but why is it important for them to take this program if they're not getting out? Because you're talking about recidivism, and then we were just talking them, you know, just really kind of saying that when people understand themselves and they get freedom of mind wherever they are, whether they're, you know, going to be staying in prison and they're not going to be getting out for a long time, the impact of living with more peace of mind, the impact of kind of knowing that you have, you know, just having more confidence to be able to then decide that you want to go to college or you want to do other things that you didn't really think that you had the capacity for, and just really stepping outside of your comfort zone and having more spaciousness in our minds to then do things we wouldn't do normally, and really finding that peace of mind even if people are staying in prison for a long time. So it was just kind of, it doesn't really matter in terms of the impact, it impact everybody, so yeah, I just
Feel like also like the lifers, like they honestly are looked up to because a lot of times they're running everything inside prison and they have a big impact. And so if they come with a quieter state of mind and understand themselves better, it's going to impact the people that are coming in and going back out. So that's really cool.
true. That's cool. Anything else before we wrap this up?
Yeah.
Research, because what I wanted to say is please, please, please support our 30 days of giving. You can go to our website, theinsightalliance.org, and you'll find a donate page there. Yeah, I hope you have a lovely day, a lovely weekend, and we really, yeah, thank you for supporting this organization. We really appreciate it.